Welcome to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. We're going to be doing a spoiler-free book review of Regicide, the second book in the Completionist Chronicles series by Dakota Krout. This one is also narrated by Vicus Adam. And kind of going to keep with the theme of we did with the first one, kind of a two viewpoint setting where, oh my, the Easter eggs just more and more keep coming out. And then from the other side of if you didn't do the Divine Dungeon series, it's still an amazing book, is very developmental, is, great. So getting into Regicide. One thing I didn't notice from the ritualist is the title always has two or a double meaning. So, from the Divine Dungeon series, with Genocide, when his son is accusing him of all the deeds he's done, he mentions Regicide in one of the things that he's done, so I thought it was connected that way. I was wrong. I have since educated myself, and due to the power of reading, I looked up Regicide. And essentially, it is to kill a king. So, Regicide, and apparently all the sides are like different measures or meanings of killing. Like, suicide is to kill yourself, regicide is to kill a king, genocide is to kill, population of people or race or religion or whatever. Anyway, so just something I noticed in each of the books, the title always comes through twice. I can't talk about it because this is a spoiler free. One thing I was sad about, since you've already read the first one, our party gets disbanded. So, yeah, we're at a turning point. We're trying to get our classes. We're trying to do all this extra stuff. Tiona leaves. Our party disbands. Our main guy goes on a learning his class traits, montage, ritual creation montage. And this book justifies it because in this book, we kind of rebuild our team. And there's a line in there, I'm going to have to pull the quote.
Joe was feeling a bit put out, but perhaps he hadn't thought about the ramifications of creating a party composed of introverts, experts, and expert introverts. He decided that as the team leader, it was up to him to get to know his minions. Teammates, same difference.
That's one of the many reasons why I find this series so much fun. We've been playing in the LitRPG genre for a while now, right? Have a good number of different series under our belts, and this one follows a utility class, right? He is a tissue paper cannon, not a glass cannon like a typical mage. He's a tissue paper cannon. Yet it's just so much fun following this character as he goes, and he discovers and he learns things, and he does these different little quests and missions, and of course the humor and the puns and Joe's personality certainly helps with that. And then add in the new collection of characters that we come to associate with in this book. And we want to keep it spoiler free, but really looking forward to talking about some of those characters. And also, again, keeping it spoiler free, but I'm noticing a couple patterns with Dakota Krout's writing style and story progression between the Divine Dungeon and the Completionist Chronicles. And really looking forward to picking your brain about that, Pete, in the upcoming Geek Out slash book discussion streams for that. Um, but yeah, things keep building, things keep scaling, and yeah, like again, you've read book one, the Mages College has been overthrown. So now they are taking an active role in the war effort, right? And things are starting to progress along those fronts. Like we're no longer just playing bunnies and rabbits now. Now we're getting to, some real combat points in this book, and it's just scratching the surface on what's to come for this series, right?
Oh yeah, and I mentioned it in the first spoiler free, but it seems like while you're in the middle of the book, or each book itself is kind of slower or less for the progression, and then we kind of get like a power hop or, you know, stuff that we can justify due to context, and it's not like we missed anything, but Goku went into his hyperbolic time chamber and we're seeing him after he came out. Like it's a thing. They did it. They know about it. Got my DBZ quote. And then it's also great the way that he continues to inject reality, and the simple fact of, with what all we have going on in life and people being able to video call. And for the longest time I never utilized phone calls. I would just do text messages, which was kind of backwards because I can't spell, so I would just talk to my phone instead of talking to real people. But the human elements of being able to call your mom after you die and talk to her, and then we finally meet up with someone from the real world who we knew, and that's nice. And then we get, the variety of people who comprise our team that have very real world elements.
Yes. Yes. It's a lot of fun. Things keep progressing on multiple fronts. The character development's a lot of fun. Um, Again, keeping it spoiler free. I don't know how many times I have to remind myself, but there are some interesting concepts in there when it comes to reality and our perception of things. It's a really enjoyable book. As far as the size of stories that we read, the Completionist Chronicles are shorter, but I feel they're very dense, right? Like we get a lot of different kind of typical MMO mechanics and things that happen in a typical MMO that still give us that like lit RPG feel, including guild interactions, dungeon crawls.
Yeah, that's where this book gets weird for me to kind of qualify, because if you said Life Reset, which is another great lit RPG, I would say it's a civilization building or town building type game. Yeah, there's a lot of solo elements, there's a lot of, I guess, big scale battles, but it's all about building up the town. But then when you come to the Completionist Chronicles, it's a bag of tricks because we follow our main character. So you're like, okay, it's solo. But then throughout combat, he's always in a team. So it's like, okay, it's dungeon crawly, but then he's a part of a big guild that has a lot of people, which is the whole reason half of the stuff is even happening. And yeah, it deals with a lot of elements, and kind of to talk on the point of how compressed it is, it's almost as if it's saying, hey, I need to advance in this area. I'm going to tell you about it. So then when we go to the next book and I've already advanced in the area, I didn't have to bore you about all the books I had to read to advance my reading skill. You now know that it was supposed to happen because that's what I told you was going to happen.
And I think it does it well, right? It's not rushed, in my opinion. it's just enough to help us keep the world building and progression going. You know, it's obvious that Dakota Krout is becoming more and more polished with each book and finding his rhythm and finding that balance. I mean, this is book 7 or 8 in his published order that he's done, that we've read most of, and it's a great addition to the series, and things are starting to build up. Um, One of the things that I feel isn't a spoiler, but if you feel I'm going too far here, as always, we do our best to keep spoiler freeze. Your feedback is welcome in the comments below, but he does a good job with the pacing leading up to a climactic point at the end, right? In book 1, you should have already read it at this point. It's the Mages College, right? We kind of get some hints in dealing with the challenges there, and then it's the big climactic point there. We get that as well for this book. I won't spoil it, but get your progression, you get your character development, world development, main storyline progression, and then climactic point. Enough to kind of help us keep things moving along and building and getting you ready for the next book. It wraps up kind of a chapter of the greater story, but still keeps you interested and engaged, and wanting to continue it, which we have. We're just working our way, catching up, and giving our fellow book dragons an opportunity to catch up as well. I have to double check and don't quote me, but I believe this is the last audiobook we get with Ficus Adams, who does a phenomenal job with it. And we'll cover it in the next one, but I think we switch narrators. And is it Luke Daniels that does it from this point on? Does that sound right? He does a great job, but it's just one of those things that there is a bit of a disconnect there. Sorry, go ahead, Pete.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, both narrators do a great job, but it kind of destroys a part of my immersion. I know most of you guys read physical copies, and that's great because the voices in your head are always the same. But when I associate a voice with a character in some of the other books I've read, I've really commented on how, I guess, the Ascend Online series, like, I know who's speaking, I really get the same tone and inflection, and I can feel their emotions throughout it. And when you switch narrators, oh man, there's a part in the Stormlight archive where it's something so simple, but the way they say a character's name, I just like completely went off on a separate tangent and was like, why are they, who are they talking about? And I was like, oh, okay, it's the same person, but it's like Sadius and Sadius or something funky, and I had to re-listen to the section because I was so thrown off. Anyway, both of them do a phenomenal job. Dakota Krout, if you could do me a favor, pick one. I'm sorry, but I would appreciate if you could pick one.
That being said, love your work. Really enjoy the series. We hope you guys will continue the Completionist Chronicles and join us when we do the live streams on Sundays. Currently planning to keep it on with the Completionist Chronicles. And yeah, hope to catch you guys for the next book. Bye.